Well, that's better.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to.
They're inside, so just so
Well,
you can hear better.
You can see it.
I'm gonna start now. Hello, everybody. Super excited that you can join us for our first ever Connie's Crits x Fida. And I'm very excited to host this talk with you and just open up interesting discussions on fashion drawing. So for those of you who have been here before and who don't know me, my name is Connie Lim. I'm going to go through my speech again just for our new panelists and new listeners. So I'm an artist myself, focusing on fashion.
I've seen your things. They're lovely. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I'm also a fashion drawing lecturer. So I've been like super passionate about drawing. I'm obsessed with drawing and arts and what goes on behind the scenes. And I think the artist's creative process is such a very intimate and personal journey that it has a lot of insightful things I feel like we can learn from each other. And so that's why we kind of created this crit to have a safe space where we can talk about what goes on behind the scenes. And me and Patrick thought it was particularly really important because there are a lot of talks about fashion and fashion design and all the shows, but there's not really a talk about the drawing process, and that solely focuses on illustration and drawing. So we thought it would be quite cool and trying to put ourselves in the forefront along with photography and all the shows to kind of get the word out there about the illustration side of it. So we actually had what's it called, a lot of Fida members and artists kind of participate in drawing of the show. And this time we did have a little bit more hours, I would say, maybe 2 more hours. So we're challenging our Fida members and artists to draw from the show straight after, so we can, in a way, compete with photography. So I'm really excited that everybody's here, and actually, I think it's picking up momentum because there's a lot more artists this time who submitted their artwork. So we're really happy about that. And before we start, I wanted to introduce our panelists. Unfortunately, one of our panelists couldn't come join us today, but we have the lovely Barbara. Hello, I can't say your last name. Nikki. Is that right?
Nikki. Great.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself first, and then I can move on to the other panelists?
Yeah. Or sorry.
Yeah, you have to introduce yourself.
Barbara Nikki. I'm Barbara Nikki. I'm founder of Biba. But before that, I was a fashion illustrator after coming out of, is that what you want to hear? Is more?
Yes, we want to hear about you.
I went to art school and did like 2 years of drawing nudes. And I got so fed up with that. And fashion illustration was starting to really be, very important. And people were going to the shows, which I thought was so fabulous. And so I left and got a job with a studio, and started. Then I found my job was to make coffee. So I had to work my way up from coffee to illustration, and then started to go meeting all the people and going to the fashion shows in Paris, etc., with the what journalists. They would take you with, to sketch, because it was a quicker way of to report the fashion, and there was no photography at that stage. And that was incredible. And then I was doing that about 3 or 4 years, and I found that I was going to all these fancy places, like Dior, Balenciaga, Givenchy, and everywhere, and I got no clothes to wear. So that's how we started Biba. We started doing clothes because there was a gap. And but what's so beautiful now is that real fashion illustration is coming back now, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
New art form, which is so exciting, because everybody's had to go on the computer, and now it's time to go and leave the computer behind and learn to draw.
Yes, get back to it. And thank you so much for being here. So
No,
our
it's
next,
fabulous.
yes, so our next panelist is Chris Gambrell. Is that how you say your last name? Gambrell, yes. You wanna
Yes,
introduce
yes, exactly.
yourself?
People say Gambrel or Gambrel. You can stress whatever you want. Yeah, I'm an illustrator. I guess in the same way as Barbara, it was interesting to draw the body, but at the same time, I was far more fascinated by the shapes that clothes made on people, and just drawing the way that clothes moved, and going out on the streets and drawing people from life. Actually moving around and just being, unadulterated, just moving around without any kind of confines or people positioning them or anything, was far more interesting for me. And drawing movement, fabric, just the textures. And I used to draw drawing on top of drawing, and that's where my love for fashion illustration came from. And yeah, ended up sort of sending off work to lots of people around Europe and around the world, when you could spam people on the internet as much as you wanted, and people would actually read it. And ended up sort of getting into the fashion press in various magazines and websites and things. And
You're going quiet.
Yeah.
yes, and had the privilege to attend some sort of face-to-face runway shows in Italy and in
Wow.
France as well. So, being able to record things very, very quickly with immediate, feeling was just such a lovely thing to do. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Did you come from a contemporary art background?
I studied illustration, but it was more to do with sort of book illustration, and that was never my passion. Although my work's been on book jackets, but it's not primarily what I enjoy doing. I enjoy drawing people and just the connection, faces, bodies, and just the feeling that I've always been a sort of people watcher and just captivated by the way that people move and what they might be thinking, feeling, things like that. So. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. And also we have Harriet. You want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Programs at Condé Nast College of Fashion and Design. I studied fashion at St Martin's in the 80s, and in a way all we did was draw. Apart from a bit of pattern cutting, your projects were, we want 50 designs, draw. And then my first job was in a couturier, and when you designed, you just sat and drew. And I think I've been in education for a long time now, and I am in marketing and branding and everything around fashion that isn't the making of the collections. And I just think that we've lost that ability to use our hands, as we've gone so much onto computers, and students' lives take place in sort of 11 by whatever that screen size is. And so I'm really passionate, and a lot of students come and they bring their portfolios when they want to join our college, and they've got beautiful drawing and illustrations, and then we all get down to writing essays and doing all the projects, and somehow the drawing gets lost, and I really want to bring it back. Although I haven't drawn for a long time, I've just started with Procreate, so I can't say that I'm actually drawing on paper at the moment, but it's my first tentative steps to get back into drawing after about 30 years, and I'm loving it. And I just think whether you go from paper to digital and then print, and at least there's some process going on of layering it and expressing yourselves and being able to, I suppose personally I feel less scared at the moment doing it digitally, because I can easily put another layer on and experiment. So that's giving me the confidence to go to the next step. But my real mission is to support artists and creators, because I think we need to create content that has some, I won't say livability, that has got real humanity to it, that our hands have been involved in, and that's got a little bit forgotten. I personally was very, very lucky to be taught by Eric Stemp and Howard Tangeen. I used to do their
Oh,
class.
I love Howard. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's my kind of lost passion, which on a personal level, I want to reconnect with. So that's why I'm a friend of Patrick's, and I've been supporting Fida and all that he's doing for since he set it up. So I'm just so happy to be on the panel tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for being here. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is going back to drawing, and especially fashion drawing. It's becoming such a big thing. And I don't know, for me, it felt more apparent when the pandemic hit and everybody just started to draw fashion. So it's super exciting. I mean, the inspiration is there. So it's amazing how many people are
Makes you feel very high. It makes you feel very high.
Yeah.
When you're drawing.
Yeah. And I think the community itself is so supportive in terms of just trying to support each other in what we do, because it is hard to be a freelance artist, as everybody knows. And that's why creating this dialogue is really important, because we want to give a chance to our artists to really show the panel and get valuable feedback. So we're going to start with the first person we have chosen, which is, I'm not sure if she's here actually. Katie, are you here? Katie Lau? Possibly not, but we can critique her.
I'm Katie, but I'm Andrew today.
Oh,
I'm Katie.
Wait, maybe this
is. I don't know if you've got a different Katie.
Are you Katie?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, that's you. I'm sorry. I thought it was Katie Lau. I mean, we love the energy of the work. So if you want to explain to the panelists a little bit about your process, you know, sometimes the thing we don't speak about sometimes is how you feel when you're drawing it, or what was the essence of the show of Erdem that you picked up on and you wanted to translate?
Yeah, I come from a textile background, so I did the whole fashion and textile thing at uni. So for me, the texture of things is really important, and then a lot of my drawings about trying to capture the mood and how it makes me feel. So for me, the Erdem show, the music was really powerful, and it had this sort of dark atmosphere. And I was looking for I was really drawn to the sort of pops and highlights of colours, because it was that real contrast, and I quite like playing around with that. And then I was also really interested in these sort of dark areas, and then the moments of fragility, and the dresses just seemed to be sort of falling away. So that's where I started, and I was just really starting to draw quickly with the colours, and then putting them against the real contrasty dark areas. I really love drawing portraits, but I tend to spend a lot of time on them. And then recently I've kind of been working in a faster manner. So the past couple of weeks I've been trying to just do all my drawings in sort of 10-15 minute blocks and try and fire through as many, just to loosen myself up. And I feel like it's really sort of developed what I've been doing recently a lot. It's totally changed how it looks. So yeah, that's kind of where I come from.
Amazing. We did look at your Instagram, and it's such a big change you've made in the last couple of drawings. They're amazing. Like the energy has shifted.
I feel like I was really stuck in a rut, and then I ended up completely changing my medium and trying something else, and it just seems to have opened everything up a bit more.
I mean, I really like it in terms of the evocation of Erdem's show, in that there were people who just emerged out of the dark, and then they were just highlighted for a moment, and then they disappeared again. And I think you've almost caught this moment for me where you suddenly go, oh, there's a person there, and you didn't know they were about to arrive on the scene, and you're kind of struck by it, and then they've disappeared again. So I think you really get that energy of somebody emerging, but then for that moment when you see them and then they disappear.
Amazing. Chris or Barbara, would you like to give feedback?
Yes, I think it's got a lot of impact. It's very, it just emerges. I think, as Harriet was saying, it sort of emerges in quite a sort of theatrical way. It's sort of coming out at you, and it's also quite sculptural as well. I like the form I think you've used in a very direct way shadows really effectively. And I like what you're getting at as well. That's innately what I'm after with trying to draw, is trying to sort of almost sort of channel this stuff through you, so you're not thinking too much about what's going down, but you're trying to just, you know, create marks that feel like what you see, and you know, what you're feeling as well. So I like it. I think I can see your textures coming in, and it's nice to see the variation between the different areas of texture. You've made marks in very different ways. So yeah, I like it. I like where it's going.
Definitely. There's a lot of drama. Barbara, would you like to give some feedback?
Sorry, you asking me?
Yes.
Yes. What I find very interesting is that it's very speedy, and it feels like it was done really fast, which is, I think, very interesting for drawings, isn't it? That somebody hasn't labored over it is this for fashion or illustration? Really?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of, it started off really fashion, and then it's kind of just a reaction to the atmosphere now. So it's more about the actual atmosphere of the show rather than necessarily being perfect around a garment, I guess.
It feels more like for theatre.
Yeah.
For theatrical play, yes, than fashion, which is a bit more flopsy. No, it's great.
Yeah, and I really love how you actually timed yourself. You said, so this like 15-minute blocks, and I feel like as an artist, sometimes you feel it's like a run against the time. So you're like, oh, I need to do it. But actually, what I find, and maybe some of you find when you're drawing, is that the less time you have, the more you can't focus on your ego, if you know what I mean. So the ego goes away, and then you're actually in the moment rather than having more time and then kind of killing the drawing slowly afterwards. You're like, oh, more time, and you keep rendering it, and it just gets like worse and worse and worse.
I think what I like, sorry, Barbara.
Sorry. No, I found it's very that there's a magic hour for you where you suddenly, it's like doing exercises all day and suddenly boom, and I get it like 4 o'clock and everything goes like woo.
Oh really? It's like a second wind.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous, and suddenly everything comes out, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Try it.
What I was going to say is that you really get the sense of gestural movement. You can feel that your arm and hand were moving quite fast, which I like. That's, I think, where the power comes from, is that speed and big gestures.
Yeah, and I love your use of charcoal as well, because not a lot of people do charcoal anymore, because I guess it's so messy. I mean, Chris, you do lots of pastels and you have that, but I genuinely feel like people are scared of charcoal.
People are scared to sit next to people who are drawing at a runway show with charcoal, certainly.
That's true, like get it on your fabulous clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people give you space if you're sat at a runway show and you're using you know, a dark blue pastel. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a good thing. So then you have more space.
Make it obvious before you're sitting down. Yeah.
Did you, Katie, did you draw this literally just watching the film and not stopping the film?
I watched the film and I screen grabbed it as I went. So I screen grabbed things that weren't necessarily the photo you would get on Vogue. So it was more about them starting to come out of the darkness. And then I drew from those screen grabs as quick as I could.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. It was really nice to see you.
Yeah, lovely work.
Yeah, let me just stop sharing my screen. And the next person we're gonna see is, okay, I don't know if she or he is here, but oh sorry, 1 second. I think we're gonna go with, oh, sorry, I'm gonna go with Anna first. Is Anna here? Maybe she's not here. Can everybody see this one?
Yeah.
No, Anna?
Yes, here. Hi.
Hi, oh yeah, okay.
Anya.
Yes.
Anya, oh sorry, and Anya? Can
Anna,
you
yes.
pronounce your
Yes.
last name? Because I'm trying to learn how to pronounce these words.
It's perfect. Uh, Today, I start to be a member of Fida, so I have 15
wow.
minutes. So 15 minutes, and I prepare 2 sketches. And this was the first one. I prefer the second one, but
Yeah.
I was so stressed, and
Yeah,
but
we
uh,
did prefer this one. Maybe the second one you're too stressed.
yes, but I love.
It's amazing.
It's very good.
It's amazing. I've just
thank
watched
you.
the Erdem styles and they were incredible clothes. And I immediately see it's his work.
Mhm.
Fabulous.
Hello? Did I speak out of turn?
Oh no, it's okay.
Um,
So, do you want to explain your process a little bit?
I love live drawing, live sketches, and quick sketches. So I don't know why I was stressed, because 15 minutes, it's very long time to sketch on runway fashion show. I love darkness in illustration and mysterious. So this fashion show was perfect for me because a lot of dark and great music. But today was so crazy day because I must prepare some illustration for Polish designer, and no, I need 15 minutes for Erdem. So
You did very well under the time constraint. For sure.
Yeah, I think Anya, this it doesn't necessarily even. I think when you're busy, like I've done commission work, sort of worked into the night, and then felt, you know, this is a good time. I'm in the zone, and produce something really decent in quite a short time. And I think that's what you've done here. I was looking through the various looks and just thinking, that would look great in a sort of almost a sort of Mats Gustafsson style, you know, where you're taking things back out, or you're using inks to put in and then sort of, you know, pulling them back out. And I think that's kind of in the vein of the clothes themselves. They all, you know, they almost look like they could have been sort of conceived by people putting together sort of textures and building things up. So I think it's really in keeping with the clothes. I love the way it fades in, fades out. And you've really captured and pushed forward the subject with that blocking in the background. I love the solid blocking. So I think it's a really successful image in quite a few ways.
thank you.
Definitely.
I like the way you can see the figure just underneath walking. So you get this sort of sense of translucency and transparency within the dress. And you know, then you go, and your eyes move around, so you kind of go to her legs and crotch and the wafty wateriness, and then to the face, which is stronger. So it keeps you moving around the whole image, which I think is very strong.
Thank you.
Barbara, did you have more feedback?
I think it's terrific. I mean, it looks like the show light, and just having seen the show right now, the clothes were just incredible, and especially all these transparent things were really beautiful shapes, and I think you've just got it immediately. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and
It's
I think
very Polish, isn't it?
I think for me it's the pink. I think if you took out the pink, it wouldn't be as strong. There's just that pop of like focal point, and it drops down slowly into the wash, and then you have the writing. I think the writing adds to the whole overall picture as well.
I must explain this pink because I bought yesterday 150 crayons and use pink all of my illustration, and today I paint some in very fluo pink. So I know, but I love this contrast, black and fluo pink. So pink is everywhere.
Yeah, and it just adds to the whole piece, and it actually looks like a finished, like you can frame this and it will look really nice. You know what I mean? So I have a quick question for the panelists. So she's done this in 15 minutes. And I think what me and Patrick were really talking about beginning of the crit is like, what's the role of fashion illustrators commercially? Because we have to compete with photography in a sense. And, you know, like in a fashion show nowadays, it's like rows and rows of cameras, but maybe like one illustrator or two illustrators if we're lucky. So what do you think the role of fashion illustrators should be in this day and age? Because sometimes we're saying we're being too safe and just staying home and drawing from the computer, whereas we should join the action.
Well, in which case, you know, we've got to fight to get the invites to be there. And I think that's a really good point. You know, talking to the designers and the PR and making a case for having the illustrators there, I think is actually a good story for them. And the PR from their point of view and the support of others within the industry would be a very good thing to kind of encourage them to see the opportunity of that. You know, in a way, the photographers are all taking a shot to get into the press, and they're generally very similar.
Yes.
You know, if you look at the Vogue, you've got each look, and the buyers want those in order to go back and have a look and see what they're buying. This is an artistic form that is comparable in a way to the designers themselves. I mean, many, you know, John Galliano was an illustrator before he was a designer. And I think it's a really precious thing that gets created, which has a sense of movement that the photographs don't have. There's something between the film where you can see them walking and the static image, which is just really showing the look. So I hadn't really thought about this, but how could we kind of lobby designers to ensure that there's space for the illustrators in the shows?
It's kind of almost
to show them. Sorry, and a platform to show them.
Yeah, Harriet. Sorry, just on the back of what you're saying is it's completely in keeping with the language of the design themselves, isn't it? I mean, it's speaking exactly the same language, and it offers a kind of commentary that, you know, photography just cannot compete with. The individuality between different interpretations is huge. Just looking at this from the previous piece and probably the next, you know, everything offers something completely unique, and it's very handmade, whether it's through the screen or whether it's, you know, in whatever way, it's very handmade, as are the clothes. You know, it's that human touch that we all need and crave and relate to.
Definitely.
I mean, I suppose it depends about the designer themselves and their process, because I mean, you know, Margaret Howell has her illustrations framed in the shop. So, you know, somebody like might say, I don't want another illustrator illustrating my clothing, because those illustrations that I've done are part of me and part of the process. But I think it would be fantastic, you know, to have an exhibition of some of the clothes and the illustrations done by a broad range of people, just like Chris is saying. So you could see all those different interpretations. You're not really going to know one photographer from another. They get their name done there for copyright. But, you know, a model on the catwalk is a model on the catwalk in a photograph. So I think this is
Really,
I
I
haven't
think
got the words actually for how important I think it is.
Yeah. Barbara,
But
you
I really feel there are sort of 3 stages of illustration and drawing. You know, there's the drawing of the design, which is one thing. Then there is the sort of feeling that this design should look like old Lagerfeld used to do, scrubbing away. And then there's the illustration, which is more, that shows the actual finished garment in a sort of more interesting, you know, for people don't want to see every seam and problem on a dress, do they? Which a designer would love to see what's going wrong. And this is the perfect image of the thing on the catwalk.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. I love that how you broke it down. Yeah.
Different set of problems completely. Yeah.
So interesting. I think we had a chat. Can't remember who it was who said illustrators give a second life to fashion. So you know how photographers document the look, but then the illustrators go and then give another. I think we just take it and run with it, don't we? And then we create something completely new, like a reinterpretation of. Yeah, I'm gonna give credit to Patrick for this. And then somebody else said it, and we can't remember, but I thought that was quite good in terms of, because initially we were saying, how can we compete with photography? Because it comes out 15 minutes after the show. And then obviously, you know, she can do this in 15 minutes as well, which is fabulous. But I loved how you're saying there's like 3 stages of drawing, which is the fast, the quick ones, and then the longer ones more for probably like editorials or more detailed or packaging design, beauty, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's great. I love it. We're gonna move on to the next person that we chose. I don't know her name, but we know her Instagram handle, which is DN DNZCR. Are you here? I'm not sure if this person is here, but perhaps we can just critique his or her work in terms of what you feel, what you think. Different moods.
This is just so perfect for the girls that are being used now. They're almost navy blue color and skinny, and they come from certain parts of Africa, I think, that are just, that they're on another planet completely.
So beautiful.
Yeah, incredible.
Definitely.
I love the light on the face.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, because we've been talking about the darkness of the show, this is somebody who's really standing there right in the light for that moment when they were really sort of illuminated. I think it's lovely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like the fluidity of the marks. You know, it just there's it's a bit of a feast for the eye, at least my eye. Being concerned with these things, but I'm just in there, just, you know, eye trailing around, just looking to see all the different marks. It's really interesting to see how it's all been put down. But yeah, it's a very strong figure, and it sort of almost challenges you. It's very direct, and I like that. I mean, there's just a huge amount of impact here.
I love how I love how we're seeing all the different medium. So we saw charcoal, we saw like ink or markers, and then I feel like the ink part is more dreamy, because I always feel like each medium has its own personality. So it's just more like a dreamy effect, whereas you see the charcoal has more energy, if that makes sense. So I thought that was quite interesting. It's a shame she's not here, or he or she's not here to explain the work, but I thought this was quite nice. We have another one, and this person has done it digitally. So that'll be quite interesting to see the difference. Share the screen. I know Kate is here. Kate?
Yes.
So I know we picked yours yesterday as well, but since you're here and it's a new panel, can describe your process a little bit? Where did
This
she
is
go?
amazing. Who did this?
Kate, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, do you want to explain a little bit? Oh yeah, there you are.
Hello, everyone.
So if you want to
Thank you.
explain.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much. Yes, I will try explain. I would love to say that it was a pleasure for me to draw this show because it's really amazing. It was very dramatic. It was dark, a lot of darkness. I love glows. I love music. I love everything in this show, and I wanted to draw a runway, but I wanted to draw it quickly as possible. And the second one, and the second sketch, I draw in 20 minutes. Yes. And I wanted my digital sketch to have an analog feeling, as I draw with a pencil and watercolor. And I don't know.
Don't worry, it's hard when we put you on the spot.
Did you do this on like Procreate with a
yes,
with
with iPad and Procreate, yes.
I mean, that's what because I've just started practicing with that, and I think this is where it becomes very interesting, because the way they've designed it, you can use the pencil just like you use a pencil, with the sharp tip, with the side of it. You can get very similar mark making. So, you know, that does look like a hand drawn, because it is hand drawn. You just have drawn it on a iPad, and not on a piece of paper. So I think this is, and, you know, then did you pick the watercolor for the black at the back?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's fascinating how you can really get that drawn effect because you are drawing.
Yeah. Power of technology.
I think you've used the range of different marks or mark making tools to really sensitive effect. It seems like you've got a very good amount of control over all of the different elements going on, and you've used them to really good effect. I like the form of the body, you know, within the garment, and then you've got this light, very, very sort of almost fragile mark making, you know, explaining, telling the story of the floral marks around the garment. And then you move up and you've got, I think, sequins and kind of light play across, you know, her head's garment. And it's just a very cleverly composed image. So, yeah, I mean, it's really nice. It's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things I've also noticed with all the ones we've seen is that you feel like there's so much color there. And yet most of them are mainly black and white. And yet that it doesn't feel like you're missing color.
Yeah, definitely. Great. I love seeing this. I love the difference between when you see analog and digital. And I think a lot of young people these days are using the iPads, as you mentioned. Maybe it's just a different way to live the world in a sense. And we were talking about how it would be easier just take an iPad to the show rather than having, you know, all your ink and like you're like, ugh, or pastels, you're like trying to like rub off on people. So I definitely think there's pros and cons. And I wanted to ask you, Harriet, what you thought about the difference between using technology in terms of students. Do you feel like they need to know the analog with the digital, or?
I mean, I think this is really interesting. I think when you're drawing, you're using your body in a different way. And of course, it also depends on the size. So when you're on an iPad, you're necessarily drawing, even if you're quite free within that limited frame. But if you had a piece of paper much bigger, you know, you'd have to move in a different way. I mean, for myself, I've started working on the iPad with the idea that those are sketches and that I might work them up and later use them as a stepping stone to actually paint or draw on paper. So it's almost like, I see it more like a sketchbook.
Oh, you see,
it's just the size of a sketchbook.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing, although they're not necessarily quick, they're sketches where I'm thinking and trying things out that then potentially could be worked up into something else bigger when I'm more confident.
Yeah.
So, and in a way also, anything you've done as a drawing, we then scan or photograph so that we can upload them, so that we can now critique them. So we're critiquing a digital image of something that was physical.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
in some ways, there is that kind of merging. And I think I would be sorry if students never ever held a real pencil or experimented with real paint.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the technology is very, very good.
Yeah.
And so I think having both at your disposal is really interesting.
And a quick question for Barbara. How do you feel fashion illustration has progressed? Like, how do you feel about it?
That in my day, you had to work in a way that you knew would print well. So certain things you couldn't do because you knew that it was going to end up in a splodge or something. So that doesn't seem to be a problem now, but it probably is, because you've got to almost see it finished. And at another stage, like your camera. Do you know what I mean? How it's going to end up? Because a drawing you're going to put in a frame is you can be as luscious as you want to with color and texture. But when you're printing stuff, it's a different story. Because, for instance, when you were working on newsprint, you had to be really, it was really almost an awful drawing to get it to look quite nice, you know, whereas on a shiny Vogue or somewhere, you could be as, you know, liberal as you wanted to.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think today and age, prints like magazines and books it's not as prominent or not as big because of all the digital things. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that is something that I find with my students, whatever they're doing, they don't always think about what the end idea is. And so I'm the same. I mean, when I'm using my iPad, I'm only using a page that is the iPad size. I'm not using, when I set it up, I'm not using anything bigger. So if I wanted to print it out, if it was any bigger, it would be pixelated terribly. And students set off on something and then go, oh, I'm going to print it this big. And then they get really disappointed when they can't, because they didn't set everything up with that in mind. So I think Barbara is a really good point. There's a difference between your daily practice and getting your eye in and doing your practice, and then pieces of work that you know where they're going to end up, and therefore what the limitations and constraints are.
You don't have that knowledge or information, do you? I mean, in our day, you knew that if you were working for the Mirror or, you know, I don't know, the Times, you'd get a better reproduction. But in a Mirror, it would just come out as a black blob, whatever you've done, you know. So you had to the original drawing that you sent in was pretty awful to make it look good when it's finished.
All right.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That.
And Chris, sorry.
You see, either.
Sorry, I interrupted. So Chris, do you do just analog or do you do digital as well in terms of your practice?
I have gone sort of back and forth. I was using quite a lot. I like I said before, when I was doing a lot of life drawing, and when I say life drawing, I mean going out on the streets and drawing people, then I would want the immediacy of things, and I didn't like things to feel labored. I always feel like they're a labor to look at. So I would choose. So I would extract from scanning things. I would extract what I liked. I would enlarge it. Then I would color it. I would work with it. I would put layers in and things like that. And then I took a sabbatical from illustration completely for about 12 or 13 years. I was traveling doing different things. Yes, starting a family and things like that.
Oh wow.
And then came back to illustration, and I think my computer was very poor, and it didn't feel like someone had given me a pencil on a computer. It would not do it within the same minute. So it was very poor. My laptop was awful. So I turned to my box of paints and all of the other things that had been given back to me by my parents when I came back from traveling, and I got crayons out, and I got wax sticks, and the gum that you use to mask things, and all of watercolors and sort of half dried up markers, and started to make immediate marks that felt really good. So I worked in lots of different things. So yeah, I've gone back and forth, and I've to be honest, I've stayed with that because I like how things feel. I like the tactility, as many people do. So yeah, I'm here at the moment, but there's a compelling argument to start using digital, and I do have a better computer now. So you may well see some more of that kind of thing.
I'd be interested to see it. You're making me excited about it. I'm like, I want to see it.
Me too, Connie.
Can't wait. So we're almost towards the end, but because this is Connie's crit, I've drawn a version of Erdem, but I'll share my screen. So I've taken on board critiques from the last panel, and they told me they really like the looseness. Like they asked me to try being loose and a little bit of a unfinished drawing. And if you know my work from before, I'm quite like a perfectionist. I need to draw everything, and I think that's my not downfall, I would say, but that's something I'm constantly working on, is the fight with myself about finishing things too much. And that's why I do a lot of documenting my videos, because there are some points in the drawing that I like more than the end. So then I just like rewind and I look at it, I'm like, oh, that was when I should have stopped. Or, it's just an interesting process to see the progression of the drawing. So yeah, without further ado, I did too. And I must say, it's not my favorite way of working. If you know my regular drawings, is quite different. So I just thought I would share. And I didn't have, as you know, the best drawing session today. So any feedback, welcome.
I'm just going to say, I'm really happy you put the kind of big spots in there. I was really hoping that somebody would do that, because I was really captivated by those spots and felt that they were part of the setting. And that works really well. And I love the way, as a triptych, you've got the white spots with the black and then the sort of brown spots. And actually there's a beautiful journey from the left-hand white spots through your wiggly outline spots and then through to your sepia ones at the bottom right. So there's this gorgeous journey if you take that as a triptych, taking you from top left corner to bottom right corner, which I really like.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I-
Be honest.
amazing.
It's okay.
I really like these. I know I'm really familiar with it. I love what you do on on a sort of regular basis, but I love what you've done with the textures. Just the way that you've really paid respect to the you know, the way that the garments feel, especially the one on the right hand side. I was thinking of different ways that you might be able to make this, and it sort of captures the feel of the clothes. It really does. And I like how loose it is. I don't think it's not loose as in, you know, it looks like you didn't really spend any time on it. It's just it's quite fluid.
Yeah, I think for me that's the biggest challenge, is not to make it so perfect, because I have a perfectionist personality, so I'm like, I need to draw everything perfect. So it's quite nice. Barbara, do you have any feedback for me? I'd love to
I
hear
just
from
want
you.
to say, Chris, we're just having a look at his work. It's fantastic.
His work is amazing.
It's incredible.
Thank you. You're making me blush.
It's incredible. But we must say something. That collection of Erdem is fabulous, isn't
Yeah,
it?
definitely.
The shape was gorgeous, and there was nothing that you felt, oh, you'd have to hide something, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Just beautiful. I was amazed. Even all the transparent things, you know, you should wear something underneath them, but there were the black lace stuff.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Out of interest, Connie, what size are these originally?
Super.
Sorry?
What size are the images
Oh, I
originally?
have
Because
it
of course, when we see everything like this, you've no idea what size you were originally
It's
drawing.
just my sketchbook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm drawing over old drawings that I hate.
Oh, really?
Perfect.
So you can see the drawings behind. I think I have another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's just old sketchbook for practice.
Wow.
It's fantastic. I really think seeing the three together with these, it reminds me of the Yellow Submarine and the Blue Meaning.
Oh yeah. So this is from
Absolutely
yesterday.
fantastic.
So I've just been trying to be more not precious, I guess. Be less precious. Yeah,
That's
thank
a really
you.
good idea, to draw over old drawings. You get these kind of ghosts.
Yeah, you get the ghosts, and
nice.
you're also saving the planet by not wasting paper. That was like the original idea for the sketchbooks. Before we go though, we have a special drawing from Patrick. Wanted to share, and his first, is it your first iPad sketch, Patrick?
Wow.
Yes.
Just, it's so nice to get everybody drawing again for the shows, and I think it's beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
That's great.
Got
Lovely,
the drama.
Patrick. Yeah. Yeah, so much drama.
Feedback for Patrick?
Wow.
Yeah. I'll take a
Beautiful.
picture.
Yeah.
Don't use digital.
You really get a sense of that fabric, don't you? And the dress and the movement of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the shapes of the skin tone. You see the shapes from the shadows to the highlights. I just think it's really nice.
Chin.
Yes.
She's a real
Yeah.
goer.
I love the light play. You've got a very subtle blue shadow around the back that is sort of soft, but then you've got that highlight that sits along the kind of back edge of the dress as it goes into the background. It's really nice. There's, you know, you can really feel the shape moving, and the fabric on top of that. Yeah, it's really strong, Patrick. It's really nice.
No. Exactly.
It's certainly giving me hope that actually if I work on an iPad, it's not It's not a heinous crime.
Yeah, I think the moral of these talks were that we can coexist with the analog and the digital, because, you know, no matter what we think, the world is becoming digitized. And I don't think we should fight it. We should embrace it, but learn how to kind of juggle the two, I guess, I suppose, and work with it together. I think it would be quite exciting. And because before I found it really scary for the next generation when I teach, because they couldn't have the focus to draw. But then I think they're learning how to do both, like live with the digital world, because sometimes social media can take over your life, you know. And some students, they couldn't even look at paper for 5 minutes until they had to look at their phone. So I thought it was quite a big issue coming up with the focus and everything. But I think they just need to learn how to incorporate it into their daily lives, if that makes sense. So beautiful work, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I hope everybody had a good time with the talk, and it was so lovely to have all the panelists here. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us and give hope to the artists and give a lot of advice that I think we all need, and we need encouragement, like and a space to share what we love to do, basically. All right.
Yeah, because it's a very lonely profession, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
To talk to people about how they finish things off, and it's really great.
Yeah, so we're saying we need to do this more often.
Thank you to all the to all the artists as well. It's a very personal thing to you know, share these things, and you know, it's nerve-wracking to have people just cast judgment on things, and you know, you never know what people are going to think. So well done, everyone.
Yeah,
it was lovely to be allowed in.
Yeah, and it was so lovely to see everybody and like put a face to the account on Instagram. You know, it's like, oh, that's how you look like. So thank you everybody for joining, and we have another talk tomorrow if you want to join. There's a flyer up on Fida. I just have to check what. Patrick, do you remember what time it was? It's a little bit earlier, 6 p.m.
Tomorrow is 8 o'clock till 9.
Oh, okay, come on. Yes.
And I'm a ghost tonight. I'm in the metaverse.
Yeah, he's in the metaverse. He's
all
that
around us.
All right, so have a lovely evening.
Erdem. Thank Erdem.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Wow, it was beautiful.
Definitely. And Harry, you're friends with Erdem as well?
Yes, I taught Erdem when he first arrived in the UK.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
amazing.
He arrived halfway through a module in Birmingham, and he did more in half a module than everybody else did in the entire module.
Wow, amazing.
And then he ended up living in my flat for years. Yeah. So
tell him hello from all of us.
I will do.
Thank you so much.
It's been lovely because I've seen him go from his first sketchbooks and student work right through to where he is today.
That's
and
amazing.
It's just so awesome, really awesome. Yeah.
Wow. Now I want to meet him and live in a flat with him as well.
What would be lovely is if he gets to see, you know, the illustrations that you've all done. Yes. You know, I think he would love it. Maybe we can find a way that.
Yeah, I mean, I can send it to you as well. From everybody's work, or you can go on hashtag Fida Connie's Crit, and it's all there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get it to him, but we can try.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so thrilled to have been part of this and to feel part of the illustration community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Have a wonderful rest of the week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Patrick and Connie.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.